after. Okay, so multiple ways to collect data in US lapchi watemo. Surveys kole lapchi, observations kole lapchi, tele experiment le data gade extract bega kara lapchi watemo last time. Tele transactions and log na hipta atsi mathawa tengachi. So now we will be picking up where we left off last time. Transactions and logs ki kole lapchi tupa. So you guys might be wondering what are transactions and log files demo. First of all, we will have to know what transaction and log files are for us to understand how we can collect data from them. So transaction files are just files which are present in applications or websites more, which will contain and store data about a specific action or an event in Bawade. So for example, let's say you go to Amazon me. Amazon shopping job online shopping job domo. You find a really nice pair of shoes that you want to purchase more. So you purchase button the click bauchi, the transaction files will store information regarding the purchase and the payment that you have made more. Any information kara transaction files na store be deong tupka. So kachbome website na lu it will store information of a specific event or an action that you have done. Actions like the payment, booking bureau, or purchase and so kara transaction files ki store be log files ki kachbome da bachin. Log files are just the files in applications and websites, which will store data for the system and the app. And they will store data continuously. What type of data demo? What type of data do log files store? Well, log files will store data like the user logins, button clicks, and errors inputted. So almost everything that goes on in the system, I need the information to gara log files na store base of me. And why do we store information about all of this in log files? Well, log file information there, it will help the developers and the admins track what is happening in the system. And log file will store information about everything that goes on in the system, thereby helping the developers and the admins know what's happening in the system and potentially fix errors or and the problems, bugs. The transaction files, the log files. So you can already tell that they are very important and they store very, very valuable information. Example D, my transaction files ko e-commerce websites, my Amazon whenever you purchase something, things like your purchase information regarding your purchase and your payment and to transaction files le store bejan le apps ki app na activity the buttons that you click, the times at which you log in and so information the app ki collect collect be store in the form of log files. So if there are any errors in the future, then the developers can fix this by using the log file key information. So now we have gone through all the methods of data collection more. So if I were to briefly summarize and uh, recapitulate everything that we've learned so far, data collection is the first step of data analysis. Without data, there is no data analysis. Data is the very input of data analysis. So, of course, data collection is also very important. It should be the very first step of your research after defining your objective. Next, it also involves gathering information from various sources and this information and gathering of data can be done in many ways, which include conducting surveys, making observations, doing experiments, and by extracting data from the transaction and log files. So we now know how and in what different ways we can collect and store data. I hope I'm not going too fast. Uh, we did not learn experiment long. Okay, experiment has recapitulate big. Oh, okay, sorry. Experiment goals has experimental data collection is a way of collecting information by running experimental tests. So if you want to see how one factor or one thing affects the process or behavior of something else and the relationship observed experiments conduct. For example, a scientist will try to see how different amounts of sunlight will affect the growth of plants. So growth the sunlight exposure gipana relationship study benitenle he will conduct experiments demo, and in the experiment the amount of sunlight will be varied there. So any photosynthesis study the amount of sunlight will be varied. First sunlight exposed be he will expose it to large amounts of sunlight, and then he will observe how the growth of the plant is being affected to see whether the amount of sunlight that the plant is getting will affect the growth of the plant. So anyway, experimentation level he gains valuable insights in the. He can see how one thing will affect the another. He can find out the relationship between two things. That is how we can get valuable information out of experiments. So and time the experimentation. Okay. I hope I'm not going too fast. It's a fast show which slow down when I said chat na lab to go. I'll constantly be checking the chat. Okay, so now we are done with the methods of data collection. Next, surveys the questionnaire school happening. The last time lapchuwa demo surveys the questionnaire school like Google form na le zone se I even gave you some softwares or apps or websites in which you could create your own surveys. So yes, the survey and questionnaire school it's in-depth na mo. So I'm sure almost every single one of you have participated in a survey at some point. And schools conduct many of them to see how you're performing in school, to see whether you're happy or whether you're encountering any problems. Schools will constantly conduct surveys in Bade. So I hope you all have participated in some surveys. Uh, any doubts ever in Tama clear Tama the you could even ask me at Telegram. In Telegram. But Tatuji, let's move on. Okay, so surveys kole, you all have a good idea of what surveys are, but properly define the version. Surveys are just ways to gather information or data about something there. And how where is the source there? Source of information there, people in the a group of people. And how will you get information out of those sources? By asking them questions about how they feel and how what they think about a particular topic. So surveys koleshichi questionnaires are just types of surveys which include a long list of questions question jakse contain them, and they will be used to collect a large amount of information from a large amount of people. So anitsu hakoi mo haru. Okay. The online survey conduct the gunilo chigi. How can you do this? By using online survey tools like Google Forms or SurveyMonkey. Ani so use Jabbe, you can conduct surveys. In fact, I will go to Google right now and show you all how you can use Google Forms to create surveys. So, okay. So, survey, now, how are you getting information from your source there? You do that by asking different types of questions there. So, let us study the different types of questions that you can ask in a survey right now. So, first, let's do open-ended questions to a demo. These open-ended questions, because they will allow the respondent to provide a free-form answer in their own words. So, using your own choice of words, you can freely express yourself. You can state what you are thinking. That's a very big advantage of open-ended questions. But drawback chidowate. It is quite difficult to analyze these open-ended questions. Nani drawback de. So advantage, the disadvantage hakuimo open-ended question. The if I were to show you, oh, so how you can create your own Google Forms is you can just um, you could just go over here and 9 dots to wash and jo go down and form say and click boji template jakse the mo, but I'll be teaching you all how to create a survey from ani blank lera. So ana denge mo ngai. Attender, first of all, what it will ask you is it will ask you to give the survey a title and a description with it. So my title, the description, they already fill out the emo. The first example the anite open-ended question. What are your thoughts on the summer coding camp 2025 day? So you can type in any type of answer demo using your own choice words. So it's your freedom to respond. You're not limited or confined in any way or manner. 저기 가제 type betwe ano. So ande 하고 imo open-ended question 안좀 betu. It's used for these types of questions. Right? Anayaba. You can select what type of question, what format you want the question to be presented in. Again, the paragraphs is also, which means you can type in kamchi type you can express yourself. So freedom halam chi, but problem di after I extract data from this survey, it's analyzed bin lakhatang madiandi. Next, open-ended questions, how the closed-ended questions say. So open-ended you could type in whatever you wanted. Freedom halam de mo. Closed-ended questions nadi ani freedom de mime you are limited to the options that you're provided. Your response should be one of the options that you're provided with. So limited set of answers are given to you. So that is one drawback of close-ended questions more. However, you can easily analyze this and compare the data. And analyze so close-ended questions, single answer lavachin. You are given many choices and four choices for example, now, how often do you eat breakfast before attending the online classes? So I gave you all five choices more. Anale, you can select only one choice. You're only given the option to select one choice in bate. No sometimes this makes sense, but how often do you eat breakfast before attending online classes? Labbe? If you were to select always and never select better if you could select both of these options, these two responses completely contradict each other. Opposite so on for your data to be consistent these types of questions now you should only give your respondents the ability to select one response or answer. You can do this by selecting the multiple choice question format. So any closed-ended type question na, you only give your respondent the option to select one answer. Now another type GA, any type you give your respondent the ability to select multiple answers to a single question. And you give them the option to select multiple answers. For example, Anna, which of the following topics did you enjoy learning the most in the summer coding camp 2025 more? There's data science, coding, search engines, email, any the junior category. So which of the following topics did you enjoy learning the most? Labda data science jams gahi labbe. Anjams click me some of you might have enjoyed learning all four of these things. So what I can do as the person making this Google form is I can checkbox save checkbox lamdi I can make this question in the format of checkboxes so that you can select multiple answers to this question. Oh, I enjoyed data science and coding, but my search engine the email some magala wachin. You can select these two and leave these two unchecked more. The response submit betuwade. So anina it's also anite closed-ended question ring because your response is limited to these four options but you can select multiple answers in the ani dia hakoi mo. Next kach tu lavachin close-ended questions ko hakoi. Okay. I hope you all understood what's going on. Please differentiate between surveys and questionnaires more. Okay. Audio not audible. I turned on the audible. Yeah, I turned on the audio. Problem nam sam yon don't. Okay, so please differentiate between surveys and questionnaires. Questionnaire is just any. It is a type of a survey in which there is a long list of questions in the whereas surveys, generally speaking, just anime. It's a form containing lots of questions to get data in the to get data from your respondents. Daha koi mo ani. Why is survey related to coding? So, anna kachibong lawashin. अनि हालम interconnected timber the data science the अनि coding the concepts this coding the you need coding for data analysis ma temo the data analysis ten lega chigote you need data the data the gade thopni by data collection so ani ha koi mo da gade ina you need data how will you get data by conducting surveys the survey conduct be data thopchimo data gade be analyze beni through coding ha koi mo andisa. So yes, survey is very important in data analysis process, and so is coding. So close-ended questions hakoimo, in which you can select multiple answers. Another type of question you could ask is rating scale questions. On a scale of 1 to 5, rate how much you enjoyed the class. On a scale of 1 to 5, how enjoyable was the summer coding camp 2025? Say? And you can rate us out of 5 stars more, with number 1 being not at all enjoyable. I hope none of you picked this option. Number 2, a bit enjoyable. Number 3, somewhat enjoyable. Number 4, the ante. It will be something like quite enjoyable. Number 5, the very enjoyable. So rating scale questions say you can even ask questions in this format. So rating scale questions now. Okay, so as the person who's making the survey, it is very important for you to preview your survey. Share baby. Please participate in this survey. You have to make sure that there are no problems or errors in the survey. And question to the misclick to kanyama vega, typo to kanyama juga, or question format resume the select mavega and to kara check job go demo. Then check jam you can always preview your survey to make sure that it is presentable and good. Okay. Now, mm, okay. Tile I can even view your answers there. For example, ngayani tatu Google Forms na zoiwa demo survey chi. Ani survey di if I send it to all of you, dele analysis e halam chi directly thobewa dinga chi analera Google Forms lera. For example, ngai ta chinsulu ani survey di na participate benase I shared the link to all of you lome. Now what I can do is I can click on the responses button mo. Ana yobate. Ana tubate mo responses. Tatungagi publish bebe share ma bendi tatumyo. But if I were to share it, hangzum bet and you have 3 options. You can either view the summary button. Summary gi gachpyo. This view will show a summary of the responses. So ani charts the graphs to use chakbe summarize pe tam the response to kara. The individual level chin I can check how every single one of you have responded to the survey individually. So ana michigi options kachi select benuga I can view all of them in the individual nade. I even have the option link to sheets demo. It will data demo. Data gara spreadsheet na and it will present the data in a better manner, which will be more valuable for the data analysis process. So spreadsheet and link to sheets FG, it will present all the data in a spreadsheet and it will present the data in a more clean and organized manner in the world. So any tools do in the future if you ever have to conduct any research data analysis and some you can always go to Google Forms, create your own surveys. I'm sure you all are experts at the different types of questions you can create in Google Forms, when they should when different formats should be used. And the clear Delay response collect bebe tame you can get collect the summary the what you can get a brief idea of what the respondents thought of your survey or what how your respondents responded to your survey more, or you could even view how every single one of them answered the survey individually the response to view it way, or if you want the data to be expressed in a express flow, if you want the data to be presentable more in table china resume be jachi go nim bachin you can link to sheets and the data will be exported there. So ande hago imo review the answers labda tigi answers to le ati conclusions drop it bedogo. Now, online service, the kachbe conduct mo chigi. Well, there's a lot of advantages but to online service. First of all, with online service, you're given the ability to collect large amounts of data very quickly and easily. Imbe wate mo. Instead of having to go with a pen and pencil, go out, go outside and ask different people more and wasting my time, I can just create an online survey, publish it, or share it with all of you to get an idea of what you all think about my particular topic. There. So my data analysis process the very easy so they were demo. The data collection process there easy so the online surveys. So that is one advantage of online surveying. Another advantage the ability to reach a wide audience. For example, not a data analysis on a particular topic conduct ilome ani on I want to conduct data analysis on a particular topic tangagi if I go to your classroom thinking classroom na be change the data thobachin I only got data from a elementary or middle school students demo wide audience na mahiba te survey de ani kashlanta different people will have different ways of thinking different opinions and different responses for demo so to surveys conduct bola you always want to reach a wide audience but hagoi so for you to reach a wide audience you can just online survey choose Google Forms now and then publish it and ask people online to participate in the survey. They will participate domate and different types of people from different backgrounds, different ways of thinking, different beliefs, and completely different people will uh, respond and participate in your survey. But you're able to reach a very wide audience very easily. And 저기 그시랑 data analysis process에 resume 중 아니베 wide audience na reach person. So that's another advantage to online surveys. Another advantage of online surveying the ability to conduct and collect standardized data that can easily be analyzed. So data resume collect which you can collect a lot of data and then it is very easy to analyze it. So I hope you all understood the advantages of online surveys. How to make survey ani ngai tateng ba demo Google Forms na jove Google Form na leve teni to ba. Okay, so can you go slow lomo? I'll try to slow down now. Okay. Unsubscribe mo to which of the following is an open-ended question? Ani chegi when you're framing the question, format card goveva shegonya. Do you like pizza la betamede? Multi MCQ zoru to bete mo do you like pizza? Yes, no la betupchiteza. Uh, you should 아니 yes no 잠시 원고가 되면 answers 되대. 데 아니 do you like pizza labbe open ended questions or the watching lamshete kaslang there might be some people who are trying to mess with you and they might type something entirely different there. No, I do not like pasta setijado open ended questions no more. So if 아니 사실상 그 question the 팁에 저기 format card use 잡니 나 다시 보면 so open ended question di what is your favorite color na use 잡 tumni meba mitwe bote what is your favorite color labda the responses di confined to bote there's a limited number of colors in bote a person cannot create his own color and then write it as a response but limited the responses so and the closed ended questions on it. Do you like pizza lavajin? Yes or no selab you do not need your respondents to type out a paragraph on why they like pizza or why they dislike pizza but so yes or no cham chu go ni but only so anye closed ended questions only you want to limit their responses so that it is very easy for you to analyze the data later on a scale of 1 to 5 how much do you enjoy playing soccer ano scale do the so this is easily a rating scale question not an open ended one 1 to 5 rate bill over 5 stars le rate bill up those this is not an open-ended question there. Now what do you like to do in your free time there are multiple ways in which you can respond to a lot of ways in which you can respond since the survey will reach quite a wide audience the people will respond in many different ways but some of you might like to go hiking some of you might like playing video games lalu let me say the teach benya gadon free time na study be me yedo mo so anzumbe when your question is reaching a wide audience and responses to chegi limit bem tsuya there are many ways in which people can spend their free time limit bema tsukda you can use open ended type of question network the faster yedo zumbe okay so slow betendo mo it's a fast george in love to what keep reminding me. Okay, so what should you consider when creating a survey? The survey create brother, what are the things that you need to take into consideration law? First of all, you want to make sure that your questions are easy to understand. And this is very important. If you used some very bombastic words, some unnecessary or confusing language in your survey, and if the person responding to your survey or the people responding to your survey did not understand what you meant by your question. So your question the data you collected will be anite. Respondents ki question so they have not been able to provide an honest and clear response more so the collected data will uh, contain some errors some inconsistencies and some contain data so to prevent this from happening you want to make sure that your question is understandable clear secondly, if I send a survey with gara open-ended type question it's boring demo. If I send you a survey containing only rating scale type of questions, you will be bored again. So to prevent this from happening, to keep the survey interesting and engaging, I can mix different types of questions. The two multiple choice question team or First, I started off with a multiple choice question. Delay, which be first of all, I started off with an open-ended question. Next, multiple choice with and your response limited to only one option. Another, you can select multiple responses more. Another, and rating scale type questions. So you can already see that I've mixed everything but the different types of questions do so what this will do is this will keep the respondents engaged and interested in the survey throughout the entire survey day. And how go you want that? Okay. How go you watch love to go? Okay. The surveys and questionnaires go so if I were to summarize what we have learned in this surveys and questionnaires section. Surveys and questionnaires can be very fun and useful ways to gather information. You can reach a wider audience, you can ask different types of questions, and this makes the data collection process very easy, and you can even get a better understanding of what people think, feel, or do about a particular topic. So data analysis process, data analysis topic korle, you can gain valuable data in what by conducting surveys. So ani hago imo the surveys and questionnaires kara hago ko. Okay. So the next na move on begimo. Next we have data types and encoding say. So I hope you all are understanding. It's fast which love to keep reminding me. So the data types and encoding say do mo ta. Now encoding lami gachina mashiba de do. Encoding is just converting data to a specific format. Different formats to convert penimbe. So tatudi at hamago mo encoding lami gachina. But as we go on, you will get a better understanding on what encoding really is. So okay, so data types se dumota. There are different types of data and they are absolutely essential in the concept of data science, but they will define the type of data stored in a variable or a column law. So what are these different types of data? First of all, numeric data, categorical data, ordinal categorical data, and then date or time law. Now I'll try to explain every single one of them more. First of all, numerical data lo. Numerical data di when do we use numbers to collect data de? Whenever you want the specific measurements or you want to know the quantity of something bate. For example, Anatash, how many siblings do you have? Say you want to collect data in the mo. You want to collect data on the number of siblings that people have. How many siblings do you have? So question to the yellow selanga hongi. Milavate. They will respond using a number. Oh, I have three siblings. So you will be collecting data in the form of numbers and a quantity measurements. You want to know your height, you can bring a measuring tape, measure your height, and then express your height in the form of numbers. So numerical data type the hagoimo measurements the quantity given name. They are used for quantitative analysis and calculations. And hagoimo numbers kara include beome numerical data type na. Integers and decimal numbers kara included here. Test your survey. I believe I did this. Ngai and you required the kara thing. Important slides this kara cover be and survey the questionnaires ki section na. Now, can integers also be included in numerical data type? Yes, yes. All integers, all numbers, so kara included in it. Decimal numbers, integers, kara included in it. Now, categorical data types too. So, one way to explain this could be just basically sorting things into groups or categories in the categorical data type. Now, for example, animbe gender Zumchimbachin. Let's say I want to know how many of the students in this online class are boys and how many of you are girls. So what I can do, I can collect data demo and survey biruchibe, or I can ask you all to fill up a table. Table gi column china name tichu table gi column so china gender enter between demo male or female se. Collect baby. Now I know how many of you are males and how many of you are females, but categorize between what in tenzin de pussy, dorji de pussy, sonam de pumise. I can categorize you all in bewa demo. Kadebe categorize between on the basis of gender te. Pussukara, afatan, pumsukara, afatan, between thing. And that is what categorical data will do. They will categorize things into different groups, different sets. uh, I imagine that you have a lot of toys demo. You don't, but so if I brought two boxes, for example, box ni bave chigi Lego to kara box china to dele chigi stuffed animals kara box china to lavachin kachbiome you're categorizing them you're separating them and placing them into different groups. So categorical data is like you putting these toys into different groups in the what will categorical data do? It will consist of groups or categories that do not have a specific order or numerical meaning. Because it will categorize the things into different groups in the and the hago imo legendary gender in the what's your favorite color labbe ngai daru table zoilo name center be color chu anajabe favorite color labbe column chino red yellow blue se do batimo so red gami kara category chi do blue gami kara category chi zotbe yellow gami kara category chi zotbe black gami kara category chi zotbe so I can categorize you all batimo अनि categorize बेसु मिदलो categorical data types level अनि हाको इमो गारे fractions से थियो yes fractions should also be included decimals included in budget fractions से included थियो for example what is the price of chewing gum la budget $0.5 से देउ बते मो half a dollar से होमबते थिरको that's you collecting data on the price of a chewing gum in dollar Hagoimond. So it can even be in fractions. Integers and decimal numbers of the fractions are included in both. Okay. I hope you're clear about all of that. The next categorical data type now ordinal categorical data type law. This data type is just categorical data type but don't ordinal se duwate. Ordinal lavachin. It means in order. Order lavachin first, second, third, small, medium, large and some order dumnate. Small to big to those in there. Any order me categories will have me. For example, anite. If I went to town right now, but to Thimpu town no jove, ani kachlau pen the paper babe I ask random strangers what their education level is to me kachbume lalu the elementary school na denulo lalu chungkutsu lalu middle school na denulo lalu high school na denulo lalu college na denulo so ngayan gara record bejaimo dele kachbetwe I can categorize these people demo khodi elementary school na imbe another left hand side na ko middle ani mitsudi middle school na imbe anaja high schoolers so anaja tele anime desudi college na jome anaja ase so I can categorize them but order chidu demo elementary le middle school achi bomdo middle school le higher secondary school is much more ante bigger tele colleges are ante the next in the ranking demo so ranking chidu the smaller to bigger jome demo ordinal categorical data type no hago imo antije whereas categorical data type na chhi order assign betwe gote e male su ana deu female su ana deu se bimtwe bote mo e red de ana e blue de ana e yellow de ana e green de ana e bote anebe categorize bimtwe de mo chu yellow de ana chu red de ani phachu mismatch bedore to bote you can arrange them in different ways whereas ana didi tameto if I put college last na the elementary school pana chujawachin tame ani order ra me pandai batemo so categorical data types the yes it does the same thing as categorical data types the ordinal categorical data type gi it will do the same thing as categorical data types but order wrong hongi de categories chulu order deu tachi didi order ma de batemo okay so ande ha koi mo ordinal categorical data type lamide now, the encoding kole achi difficulty face bebe omba and understand penige. Now I will try to explain what encoding really is. So data encoding is just the process of transforming information from one format to another. If I were to give you an example to better understand this, let's say we have a piece of text to text chidulo, paragraph chidulo, and what do you want to do? You want to understand what the text is saying. Hagoimo. Objective to hagoimo to. You want to get data or information out of the text. But there is one problem though. The text is written not in English or Zonka, but it is written in Japanese law. Japanese it is in a different format format it is in a different language and we cannot understand and extract data from this button. So kachbente, will you study Japanese now? To Japanese hub bedele paragraph til hub niya. Bebewatemo. What you will do is you will go to Google and ask Google to translate it to you and translate it for you. Japanese lebe English zona se laumbatemo. Hanuzumbera and encoding the Hanuzumbera. It is like you translating one language to another. Japanese the useful madewade. We cannot extract any data out of this text that is written in Japanese. But after you transformed its form de transform bebe English na zodelo translate be English na zothoda gachbe. Suddenly the data is very useful to us de because we can read it, we can analyze it, and we can draw conclusions from it and understand and gain information from it. So encoding the Hagoi model, it is like you changing the form of the data so that it is more useful for you, so that you can better understand it. Ani the Hagoi model. Okay, so but the what happens these days is data analysis the mamra the computers lu bechuma tenga chi. Most of the data analysis is done by computers, and computers the humans midawa temo. Humans communicate via our own languages temo. Zonka English sulab menga chi zonka English sulab me the computer lu zonka English lawachin will it respond to you te? No ba demo. Kachibemo because it does not understand our language pate. Kachiki text ke umelo me ana chat GPT lungagi or any kachlang computer lu khalabda, it will not understand my text. They what it will do is ngachigi text de it is like Japanese to the computers umchime. It cannot comprehend or understand what ngachigi languages and texts are. But what computers really like and what they can understand is numbers mbate. Zero the one sushemo binary digits laumi ando. Zeros and ones namsam ga ni computer tsuyu. So what they will do is to text ke batemo ana. Hey chat GPT se ke udalu hajbon lawachin HD zeros and ones na convert chap down. HEYCHAT GPT se labda tame. Every bit of letter, every text is converted into another form. Another form in the binary digits na convert jab tamme binary digits na convert jab tave, it is more useful for the computer because the computer can actually understand these numbers. Any numbers understand betchwe and then kogi data analysis betchwe bade. So data encoding the computers to be used most of the time. Hagoi monde. Slow lalo. Data encoding the hagoi mama. It's a very important concept. Explain again encoding. Okay. So how such explain benalab demo. Data encoding di just ani tubba. Ngai example chimba demo. Che text chinulo text Japanese na imbelo. You do not know what it is demo. Che hakum suwate. But if you can get someone to translate it for you, Japanese le English na zotanda bachin, suddenly that text is very useful to you demo. You're able to get valuable information from that text pate. Japanese na debda bematsuk, English na debda, the text is very valuable to you. It is you are able to understand the text. So kachbome ngaski kache change mame Japanese the English na jump change pe. We just changed the form of the data in bewate. Ani zumbera encoding the kachmo lavachin. It is changing the form. It is changing the format of the data losse. Data itself the kache alter maybe ngachige just the form it is presented in. Kogi format the change bedo ngachige. Hagoi mo anide. Data encoding lami. Okay, so tele kachbe labchi data encoding the data analysis the mamra computers ki use chaun labchi watemo. So ngachiki ana English hagome watemo. Computers ki English hamigose. They can only understand binary digits like zeros and ones chamche hako. So gachibyon machigi Japanese the English na zodo zumbe kogi ani text duwa temo ani text sukara 0 the 1 na convert jab taungse 0 the 1 na convert jab thabe gachibyon me it is able to understand betsube store betsube data. So gachibyon me it is changing the form of the data to a more useful type imbe taha koi mo data encoding namide. and it's a very important concept to me. So, okay, now how can we encode data? Machigi data kadeve encode pesuplo for the computers to better understand transism chimo. So, let's say you want to collect data on the favorite colors of a group of people. So, you have collected the data lo me. Chigi table chizono table nagach me chigi student ki names sutume tele kongi favorite colors sutume and then one column the student names tinu chege another column na kongi favorite colors sukara tinu because betwe ngachi humans ki diga chbong de da o count chang ba temo in blue chani themme green di cha sum themme red di chani themme which means green should be the most popular color so ani bong ba data analysis ngachi gi we might have collected the data in a spreadsheet mo spreadsheet down be present no ngachi gi ani be bong ba but Kachibong Lavajin computers chugi they really like numbers and they dislike text sumchi. So if you want to a computer to analyze the data for you, then you might need to encode this data. You might need to change the form of this data in Bate. For example, change to rule number assign beong bate mo classes na. Assign beong zeros and ones jump to by net 아니 롤 넘버 assign 배운 바 때문에 so 같이 뭐 됐다 그 롤 넘버 21 임벨로 which means you fellow 꽃지 assign 배보 좀 심어왔대 you are roll number 21 잔좀 심어왔대 뭐 roll number 21 랍지 아 체인 바데 아니 지데 안좀 베라 blue the 1 se assign base green lu number 지 assign base 2 se red lu number 지 assign base 3 se that is how you can encode categorical data alone 아니 the categorical data 임바데모 아나 after getting this data which betwe blue gami alu sukara ana amchi duse green gami alu amchi du red gami alu amchi duse I was able to categorize it therefore categorical data imbe so ani categorical data the gadebe encode be by assigning code to the colors imbe wate hagoimo ande you can assign numerical codes to represent color also dande hagoimo machi alutsulu roll number assign bezo zumbe kongi ani data collect beam na colors chuge ani colors sulu number assign beong lo so that is how you can encode categorical data and hakodo mo garuge encoding that's important to me hama ko chin laptop okay so Anna, there's another example here more. Rakundigi Labdawati. I asked my friend what their favorite snack was and then encoded the data. So he gathered data, that is a table chizobe, gather the data. He collected the data, he encoded the data. So the alligator is now curious. Oh, I know how data collection works in Memo. He knows how data collection works. He knows how the raccoon collected the data, but he does not know how the raccoon managed to encode the data. So he's asking, how did you encode it, Lo? I assigned each snack a different number, Lo, the raccoon dige. So, for example, nuts roll number one assigned with the Zumchme. You're assigning these things different numbers in the word and categorical data chulu you are assigning numbers in the word hagoimo roll number assigned bezo zumbi machlo the alligator diga shabde haha my friends would have answered that question a lot differently lo so this alligator was us previously before we knew about data encoding we knew about data collection, but we did not know how data was encoded. And hopefully, we are now the raccoon, which knows how to encode the data with it. I mean, the raccoon is very smart. He was able to collect the data and even encode it. So I hope you all understood how data encoding works now. So okay, now encoding categorical data. I showed you all how you can encode categorical data by assigning numerical values to the numbers or the snacks or whatever. Mo. So you all are experts at now encoding categorical data. Now, why do we encode categorical data te. Ani blue se majawa blue lu number 1 assign be, red lu number 2 assign be, ani zumbe gachibe assign be gopmo, code su gachibe ani chingop mo lawajin. Gachibe twe, it is very important to encode the data so that the data analysis process goes well with it. The data analysis process jumps remember. By encoding the categorical data, we can even visualize the data in a better manner. We can even use and bar charts to visualize the frequency of each color, and we can even calculate statistics like the average and the mean over there. So by encoding it, you are able to do all of that. Okay. Now other data types no. So data types ko le gara habchibate mo majki. But there are many different types of data but mo. Kachinai data is almost everywhere. So obviously there will be many types of data but mo. Other data types kachira do labachin ana time series data lo. So for example, data collected over time which is used to track changes or trends lo. For instance, let's say I want to study climate change law. I am conducting my research on climate change law. The climate change is something that takes place very gradually. It does not happen overnight. It takes place very gradually. So I have to collect the data over time. Every day, weather kazum duga, temperature kazebe duga, and kara collect beta jawelo every single day for a few years. After collecting all of this data, if I were to present it in a graph or if I were to try and visualize it, I will be able to observe trends though. Trends or changes ngagi track betsuplo. If I do not collect this over time, ani long period of time then collect beta majab imbachin. The climate change is very gradual which means ngai change ra observe me ngai two days and research conduct but if I conduct research for a few years uh, since I collected data over time a long period of time then the data collect when climate change I was able to track the changes or trends in climate change so any time series data it is just you collecting data over a very long and extended period of time. Coding using different keys. Can I also give the first code with number 1 but 8? Uh, Generally, I need to get 1, 2, 3 sa encode version. Okay, so how about encoding using different keys? I'm not sure I understand your question here. Encoding using different keys. The two thing actually any course nalu will only learn about how we can encode categorical data and categorical data so encode dodadi usually just any numbers to use jump we just use the numbers to represent the data so that the computer can better understand it so anikole hakoimo the hakoimo data types and encoding college I hope you all understood this portion it's very important data encoding college it's like using alphabet numbers for use chapter, especially during categorical data encoding. Uh, because as I told you, slow computers to develop data analysis most of the time. And computers really like numbers, especially zeros and ones. Okay? But even numbers in general, computers really like them. So if you want your computer to do the data analysis, you just really want to assign numerical codes to your data in the hakuimo ande. Okay. Ani hakuimo no. Data types and encoding it's a very important concept. I really hope you all understood this. So
Tantin,
la on.
madam, so sunuman amchi bishadi. So we will continue story that next time.
Okay, okay. Yes. Okay, thank you all for
Ani
라,
before closing the session, Pivot that to Kongi explain better more category law, numerical data law. Those are all on technique. In artificial intelligence, no, there is a course called machine learning. Machine learning law, nanalu, kativi analyst pinina, there are called analu modules along bangachi. So any module, they train the data, hani bipedalu, the computer will not understand the any string and the text is hamigo. So in order to understand, make understand by the computer, we have to convert that uh, the text into numerical. Hani be represent biomba to make understandable by computer. Hani be tiki. So while analyzing, training the any data set is to train bidalu. And the data sets got to train bilang yesterday we learn about the data analyst nalu we are learning past data to learn bilang but mush hani learn bi kapsulu the that module that particular technique and the machine learning the technique jiwa so hani ki so collect bi data this one train bi kadibi jonuga hema kadibi benuga belape hani zumbe test this 비용봐. So that to the children theory lab that's 함이거든. 아니 the in artificial intelligence look at the bimiga and class 8 na hiptal how many and bindigi those are connected lamida hani bindigi encoding lamida katibiru ani bin dosun taja that computer ki language na kan bit bini mese hani bin nosan tanta tup tato and the artificial intelligence haptalu you will get to know more about the how to do it. Okay? The data type categorical, numerical, ordinary, and this the tabs in the data majiggy data collect the melody in name of this string about in the gara and categorical base video on the page so nam karma and this the gara categorical the conjugi h this collect the gila watching the numerical video data category data type so page in the sonam the class uh, class 4 imi dile karma di class 5 imi hani the ordinal data type na lu tiang tu hani bi tiang okay if you have question anyway link chi mi na na lu di shada so we will answer in the next session will answer begin okay okay thank you all the time is awesome thank you for joining with us